The SuperMasters are on their rolling lap here at GYG. Sam Dielo has won all but 2 races this year, and they were the finals, won by this guy. Well, Michael, it's great to have you back in the birelART UK paddock again in 2017 and already winning races right from the off.
Yeah, I hope to do quite well this year. I'm just trying to enjoy this year, kind of a bit of preparation. These are new tyres to me. So, yeah, this year is to just kind of try and have a laugh and hope the kids and the wife come up and have a watch and maybe get them into it and entice them to want to do a bit of racing. So, yeah, for me, it's just a bit of fun. Maybe next year take it a bit more seriously.
Well, you say take it more seriously. If it weren't for you, Sam Dielo would have had a clean sweep so far. You seem to be the thorn in his side every time we get a final.
Yeah, there's got to be someone, I suppose. This weekend seems to be going a bit differently. Seemed to have qualified better, even though it didn't go too well. So yeah, probably do well in the pre-final and do rubbish in the final.
Well, if you keep on bringing these points in and keep the consistency up, you know, all it takes is for one major DNF from the rest of your rivals and you're in there for a fair shout.
Yeah, although his reliability's been pretty good. When he was doing lights, obviously he had a bit of unreliability and stuff, but yeah, he's got a good mechanic and he's not having any DNFs, is he? So hopefully I've got to do the same and try and pip him in a few pre-finals, I suppose.
So you say this is a bit of fun this year. I'd love to know what it's like watching you when you take it seriously.
I do take it seriously, but yeah, just trying to relax and not kind of be too hard on myself. It got to a stage when I gave up, whereas if I wasn't winning, I was kind of going home disappointed and stuff like that. So this year I've kind of had the mindset of, you know, whatever happens, it doesn't matter. We're just here kind of with my mates and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the approach I'm taking this year.
Well, you're keeping us thoroughly entertained, so whatever you're doing, don't change it. It's working wonders. Cheers.
Cool.
So Michael Roots has been the thorn in Sam Dielo's side every weekend. Dielo has won every race except the final. Roots is alongside him on the grid, of course. Friday and Yeoman should be strong here. Rainbird, Lawrence, Fisher and Fisher, Bredner and Sean Port rounding out the top 10, with Howe, Nichols, Elbeth, Turnbull and Ken Churchill behind them on the starting grid. Now this could be an interesting one because Dielo still has yet to win a final this year. Away we go, and he gets a perfect start. That's absolutely textbook. Roots can't get through, but he knows with Sam Dielo he's got to get past him quickly, because Dielo is really strong here at GYG. For pace, he has been the fastest in every single session, and he managed to do that in the earlier race. He got through pretty quick in the pre-final and led, but once Dielo got back through, that was it. It was game over. Now, one man who needs a really strong race is the E-plate. We just saw his details, Neil Fisher. He broke down in one of the earlier races, so that's a non-finish for him, and that's devastating in terms of his championship aspirations as they drop down the hill. Oh, that is Neil Fisher! He's gone off! I don't believe it. Fisher has gone off on the first lap. That is absolutely devastating. The E-plate has already had a nightmare weekend. He ended up with his kart broken down at the top of the hill while he was fighting in the top 6, and now he's out on lap 1. Neil Fisher's weekend has ended in dramatic circumstances. Yellow flags, they put their arms in the air. That's a shame, actually, because Roots looked like he had Dielo on the run and probably would have got through. But as a result of that, look, Demelo's got that crucial 1-2 kart lengths of gap, and that might be the last we see of him. So Dielo out in front of Michael Roots. Roots has won all the finals so far this year in Wilton Mill and Shennington. Dielo has won every other race. They're the only 2 drivers to win races this year, and so far this year we've only had 2 drivers take clean sweeps. Sam Dielo is hoping to become the 3rd. The other 2, of course, being Sam Faulkner at Wilton Mill, and earlier today Tyrone Stansfield in the juniors. So as they go up the hill once again, Michael Roots, the man from Berkshire, is pushing very hard indeed to get himself onto the top step of the podium for the 3rd final in a row. Now, this weekend, Ben Yeomans has definitely got back to his best. He's struggled in the last couple of meetings. He's been there or thereabouts towards the top 3, but it always looks as if he's working harder than he needs to. The kart has not quite been where he would like it to be. This weekend, he's much closer to that front-end grip that he's been chasing after all weekend. But George Friday has been particularly strong here at GYG, and he wants to now push his way forward to get onto the podium at the end of the day, and that would be a brilliant result for him. So Yeomans, Friday. Next up is Jim Rainbird. Still quite taken aback by the fact he ended up on the rostrum 3 times at Shennington. 3rd position in all 3 races. And that's Neil Fisher just getting his 0.3 of a second's worth of extra television time as he goes across the camera. But that's not going to be any consolation to him at all, unfortunately. The E-plate, what a miserable weekend. They weren't entirely sure exactly what it was that happened in the race earlier. It literally just the engine cut out. They were doing their best to get it back up to speed again. But clearly, that's not really the problem anymore. A bent front nose cone. So clearly he ended up with contact with somebody. Didn't see who, but Neil Fisher's race is over regardless. Dielo, look, he's starting already, little by little, to eke out that gap to Michael Roots in second position. But the battle is really on behind them, as Friday has a look for Ben Yeomans. He goes the long way round to try and get the switch back on the inside. Yeomans defends beautifully to the inside. And as a result of that, Friday is dropping down the hill with Rainbird closing in. Here comes Sam Fisher up the inside for sixth position. I think he made that move stick. Has he got through? Yes, Sam Fisher is through, past the 7. So a nice move there as he works his way past Mark Lawrence. Lawrence has had another interesting weekend at the office here. Top 6s on both occasions before this, I believe. So now he wants to stay there, but the field is starting to give him a little bit of aggro, and he slips to 7th position. So Rainbird and Sam Fisher will be next. Sean Port's coming through back again, the Nutmeg-sponsored cart. The 245 of Sean Port up in the top 8 this time. Another strong weekend Friday, swarming all over the back of Yeomans. He wants this 3rd position. Rainbird in 5th, trying to reel him in. But you do get the sense that George Friday is going to make light work of Yeomans if he gets through. He seems to have a slightly faster cart, but the question is whether he's going to be able to find the space. Yeomans is so good when it comes to defending. He's one of the best in the business. He knows how to make that cart wider than a Buick. So as they go through the bus stop, again, Yeomans just a little bit of wrestling with the steering. That shows you how difficult it is to keep the mechanical grip when you're under pressure. Dielo, Roots, Yeomans, Friday, Rainbird, Fisher, and then at the back of the queue is Lawrence. Sean Port not far away. Roland Bredner trying to recover after he had a couple of incidents earlier in the day. He's there in 9th position, but again, Roland Bredner could easily be up amongst the top 6, as again, Rainbird hassles the back of George Friday, trying to move up into the top 4, but Friday is just further enough to the right, far enough ahead and far enough to the right-hand side of the apex to stop Rainbird's charge. And that's all it takes at this level. We've got 5 carts battling away for 3rd position. If you can just park your cart on the right part of the apex for the entire race, there's no point even getting through, because if you try a dive up the inside, you're just going to cause an accident. So Dielo and Roots stretching out their advantage out in front, and it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My goodness, it's close. Port is there from Bredner. And then we've got the 2 stragglers just in behind there. A few absentees this time as well, unfortunately. As you've got the likes of Matt Ogle, who is not here this weekend. Carl Churchill likewise. James English is having a relatively good season. It's a shame we haven't really seen him factor this weekend at GYG. And if only Ollie George was here. His performance at Wilton Mill on his comeback was pretty impressive. I think he'd have liked it here around GYG. So down the drop of the hill once again. And let's see if Michael Roots can actually make any inroads into Dielo. He's keeping him honest, but at the moment, Dielo definitely has the measure of him. In terms of lap times, they're pretty much matching each other, 100th by 100th, every single lap. As they continue to battle away behind Roland Bredner, that is still a pretty strong charge behind. But is this going to be Rainbird hanging on to 5th position, or is this going to be Sam Fisher charging his way back through? Sam's had another frustrating start to his season as well, but this time he seems to have another opportunity. Friday looks to Yeomans. He's not close enough in the braking zone. Yeomans hangs the cart round the outside. You're not getting past there. Try something else. Well, he almost had to go into the combinations, and that's a very brave place to pass. So Yeomans hanging on to this 3rd position. Runner-up from last year, of course. Whereas the young man from Dartford, George Friday, giving him an awful lot of hard work here. And Jim Rainbird, the Essex man. Oh, no, the black and white flag has gone out to somebody. And it's one of the drivers in the lower positions. I wonder if that was for Roland Bredner, actually. Meanwhile, the Edinburgh man, Mark Lawrence, at the back of this queue, is still looking for an opportunity to get past the man from Knutsford, Sam Fisher. Down the inside, there might be a chance. He is going to look for it, but Rainbird shuts the door quite nicely. And as a result of George Friday starting to think more about 3rd position and less about the guys behind him, he is starting to work with Yeomans to pull away. So this 5-cart train for 3rd position is becoming 2 separate battles. One for 3rd and one for 5th. Down through the bus stop once again. Dielo and Roots still a long way out in front. Then comes Yeomans, Friday, Rainbird, Fisher and Lawrence. Sean Port, Roland Bredner, and they're in 10th position. We still have the last few stragglers. David Turnbull trying to work his way through the field. Neil Fisher out of the race. And that's another car that's parked up on the sideline. Now, I wonder if that's Ben Nichols. Ben Nichols in the 9 has disappeared, so Ben Nichols looks to be out of the race. Yes, that was him just walking up the hill. So Ben Nichols is out of this race now. Ken Churchill is out of the race as well, I've just noticed. And I'm not entirely sure where Stig Elboth is, so they're dropping out all over the place here. 6 minutes to go, so we're about halfway. And still Dielo and Roots, well, if they keep dropping out, some of these guys might be thinking about a win. Sean Port in 8th position. Still trying to catch up to the tail of this field. If he can get a good toe, he's got a good chance. Meanwhile, Friday's going to tighten up the inside now. The yellow flags are out, just as Friday was having a look at Yeomans, and that slows them all down and backs them all into each other. So there is Nichols' stricken cart on the drop down the hill. Ben Nichols out of the race. But these 5 are back together again, and any one of them could finish on the rostrum behind Dielo and Roots. But what I want to know now is, has Dielo got the tyre life in comparison to Michael Roots? Roots has given him a good challenge all the way through the day. 2 wins in the earlier races for Dielo, but 2 second places for Roots, who gave him a great run in both races. So is that going to be a continuing trend with 5 minutes and 8 seconds on the clock? They're a long way ahead. In fact, actually, Roots seems to have lost some time to Dielo. Not sure what happened there, but Friday's going right round the outside! How did he do that? That is one of the most incredible overtakes I think I've ever seen. You never go round the outside through the blind crest. That is just about the maddest overtake I think I've ever seen. My goodness me, George Friday's good. What a pass to get into 3rd position. I can't underestimate, I can't undersell just how good a move that is. That is a blind corner. You can't see the apex. You don't know where the cart's going to travel. And yet Friday just went, right, the inside isn't working. You're blocking every single move I make. I'll just do you around the outside. And he did it with such conviction, such confidence. That is, I was going to say that Richard Evans' move on Jurgen was the move of the weekend. Sorry, Richard, you've just been upstaged. That is absolutely amazing from George Friday. And look, that is how quick he is compared to Yeomans. He's already got 2 cart lengths on him in a lap. So that, well, either that or Yeomans is just purely bewildered. How did he do that? How did he get me like that? So Rainbird in 5th position has now seen the best move of the weekend and is maybe considering perhaps I could do that then. If Yeomans is that slow up the way through the hill, maybe I could do it. But George Friday has got himself an incredible podium with, for me now, definitely the move of the weekend. But let's see if there's going to be more from Rainbird, Sam Fisher and Mark Lawrence, because if Yeomans is losing time, then surely these guys have an opportunity to get him as well. And look, they're tightening up. I think Yeomans is becoming a bit of a Jarno Trulli here. He's the cork in the bottle, holding them up. So as they go through the left-handers, 4 and 5, up the hill. And still, Yeomans is hanging on, but he's losing time. Hand over fist to Friday, isn't he? Look, Friday's just disappearing in 3rd position. This podium is already settled if he's got anything to say about it. But look at that gap now between Dielo and Roots. That's massive. A couple of laps ago, they were right behind each other. So I didn't see Roots have an incident. I didn't see him have an off. Maybe Dielo was just playing with him. Maybe he was just looking after his tyres at the front and then suddenly went, enough of this. Boom, I'm going to drop the hammer. And he has done. So Sam Dielo out in front has cleared off. Now look, Yeomans is defending. With 2 minutes and a half to go, Yeomans is defending. Now that just shows you, that is a clear indication to me, he's got no pace. He's got no tyre grip either, maybe. There's no reason to be defending now. There's no reason at all unless you are confident that you can't gain anything further up the road and you've just got to hang on to everything at this point in the race. So maybe Yeomans' cart is not giving him what he needs and he's having to defend to stand any chance of holding on to 4th position. Look, Friday's gone. You can see him in the distance, but it is the distance now. He's becoming a microscopic dot. So Yeomans is having to defend like crazy here to keep Rainbird, Fisher and Lawrence at bay. And he's going to have to do this for another 2 minutes, plus a lap, plus however many seconds there are to go when he crosses the line in relation, well, when the leader, Dielo, crosses the line in relation to how long a lap goes. So this could be anything up to 3 minutes, potentially, that he's got to keep these guys behind him. And there's some pretty talented drivers he's got to keep back as well. There's Michael Roots in 2nd place. Oh my goodness, it's the length of the start-finish straight now. There's Friday in third. Yeomans, Rainbird, Fisher and Lawrence. Sean Port has got Bredner breathing down his neck again. But there's your race leader, the dime bar himself, Sam Dielo, dropping it down the hill, running very well in the lead of this race. And they're having a pretty good weekend. His mechanic is actually having his 30th birthday this weekend, but they really wanted to get this race to perfection. They wanted to get this weekend done. They're here, the 2 or 3 lads in this operation. They are not a big team, Dielo's operation at all. There's only about 3 or 4 of them that run him every weekend. They love their motorsport. They're very passionate about it. And is that Yeomans down the order? Yes, it is. Fisher's got past both of them. He's got past Rainbird and Yeomans. So he's now in 4th position. Well, Sam Fisher's pulled a fast one there. We were so busy watching the leaders, we didn't see that, but Fisher is now in P4. Good boy. Now Yeomans has got to hang on in front of Rainbird and Lawrence. Jim Rainbird was on the podium 3 times at Shenington. Lawrence is just happy to be driving around in circles very quickly, but he'll want to get a fast one on Ben Yeomans if he can do that. That's the runner-up from last year, don't forget. It's a great feather in the cap if you can go up against somebody who was in the top 3 last season and beat them in a straight fight. So as they drop down through the combinations and down towards Devil's Elbow again. There's Sam Dielo leading the way. Now we've got 2 laps to go then, because he crosses the line with 6 seconds to spare. So we're now on the penultimate lap. Whoops! And Rainbird has just cost himself a chance on Yeomans for the moment, but I bet you by the time they get to turn 3, he'll be straight back on him again. The slipstream here at GYG is so crucial. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? He's right there. And as a result of that, Lawrence is now hovering all over the back of him. So a great battle. And look, Yeomans is just absolutely nailed to the inside line. There's no way I can beat you guys on pace. I've just got to keep it wide. So that's exactly what he's doing. Now Rainbird needs to be smart about this. He needs to figure out that Yeomans is basically running with a ragged cart that can't go fast enough to keep up with the guys in front. And he's got to be smart. Into the last lap of the SuperMasters. The podium is settled. Dielo, Roots, Friday. Fisher now 4th. Yeomans is 5th in front of Rainbird and Lawrence. But what about this guy? Sam Dielo, the reigning champion. He had a really hard job to get there last year. This year, he's making it look easy. Absolutely easy. The only 2 races he's lost all year have been the finals. Michael Roots on both occasions, but this weekend he has well and truly nailed his colours to the mast. Come on, Michael, you're going to have to work harder if you're going to beat me when I'm in my rhythm. Through to the final section, down Devil's Elbow for the last time, and it's been a perfect textbook weekend. Fastest in testing, fastest in qualifying, winner in the heat, winner in the pre-final, winner in the final. Absolute domination. Roots in 2nd, Friday in 3rd, Fisher is 4th, and Yeomans does hang on to 5th in front of Rainbird and Lawrence. Absolutely brilliant racing in the Masters and a very tough fight for that final step of the podium. But the move of the weekend from George Friday, without a shadow of a doubt. Fisher, Yeomans and Rainbird in the top 6 from Lawrence, Port, Richard Howe and Dave Turnbull. Sam Dielo, fantastic work all weekend. Qualifying was flawless. Every single time you got into the car, you got the job done.
Yeah, it was very successful. Good to get the win in the final for once this year.
And obviously it was difficult in the early stages of the meeting with Michael Roots pushing on. What was it that gave you that incredible advantage in the final?
I think the fact that he'd done his ribs in. That's pretty what it is.
It's a very physical circuit, Glan Y Gors, but you managed to make good work of it. How do you think you'll cope going to fullback?
I actually really like fullback. One of the few people who actually like it, so I'm looking forward to it and hopefully do the same again.
So with a perfect weekend, Dielo extends his lead in the championship to Michael Roots, but 3rd position, well, you can throw a blanket over Ben Yeomans and Jim Rainbird. They're very close. Sam Fisher in 5th, and Neil Fisher needs to pick up the pieces next time. Once again, Glan Y Gors Park has delivered fantastic racing, and the birelART UK series is very much the better for its visit. We're going on to Fullbeck next, so make sure you stay tuned with all the action on the birelART UK series website. See you soon.